Keeping in mind what you know about me, if I were to stop making Let's Play videos, what kind of content would you like to see from me? What can you reasonably see me doing? I feel like I've been a creative person ever since I was little. I used to lay in my bed and just come up with characters and worlds and all these other things that I wanted to make games out of. And then as I got older, I wanted to do more than that. I still wanted to be a game designer, but I also wanted to make music. I got into rap and I wanted to start rapping and making music, and then from there I wanted to start writing poetry while at the same time being a rapper and a game designer. And from there I wanted to write my own book and have my own cartoon and everything. I just had so many ideas that stuck with me all the way from when I was a kid throughout school and even parts of college. And in my senior year of high school, near the end of the year, I think it was, one of my friends came into our 8th period class and he sat down at our table, didn't say anything to anybody, and just started telling this story. He started telling this crazy story that had everybody laughing. And at the end of the story, I remember I asked him if the story was true. And he said, it is true, but it wasn't his story. It wasn't something that happened to him. It was a story that he got from this dude on YouTube. So he gave me the name of the channel, and I went home and I showed my little brother the channel. The rest of the night, we just kept watching dude's videos. The next day or the week after that, I went to school and I talked to my friend about the channel and the videos. We became inspired to make videos. From that point, we wanted to make videos on YouTube. And that YouTuber was like the first ever YouTuber that I followed or even understood as a YouTuber. Because before that, YouTube was just for music videos and anime fight scenes. And from there on, I started finding more and more YouTubers and started to become even more and more inspired by what these YouTubers were doing, because they were all doing things that I wanted to do. Gameplay videos, skits, vlogs of me just talking about, my opinions or whatever, and having people just listen to it, just putting stuff out there, making content, being creative, just something that I wanted to do. And so around this time, most of the YouTubers that I would follow would start getting asked questions. They would do Q&As and they would get questions. And one of the questions that they would get asked is like a question that I believe most YouTubers who are successful get asked just in general. And that's, what is some advice that you can give for YouTubers who are just starting out? And while a lot of the answers are, different, a lot of the answers are relatively the same, there was one answer that would always stick out to me because it would mostly be the same just all across the board. And that answer would be, don't get into this if you're expecting to just make money. Don't just make videos just to get views. The videos that you make, they have to be videos that you enjoy. Otherwise, you're going to get burnt out real quick. And apparently viewers can tell when you don't care about the videos you make, when you're not interested in them, when you're not having fun. So that particular lesson is one of the lessons that I really, really took to heart, and I carried that with me as I was making my YouTube channel. Because the whole purpose of me making the channel was to be creative, was to have some place where I can just create stuff and just put it out there and just have it up there. Just have something that I can point to and say, I made that. That's what I wanted. I also obviously wanted an audience too, but more than anything, I wanted to just finally create and just put stuff out there. And YouTube videos were a lot easier than making songs and making video games, which all took a lot of extra work. Getting a studio, buying the beats, trying to mix everything, buying software to make games. Like it didn't take that much. All I needed was a camcorder and any type of computer that could connect to the internet and upload. That's all I needed. and an idea, something to talk about. So I made my YouTube channel, and then shortly after that, I started making my videos. But of course, I wanted my videos to look better. I wanted to get better at making videos. So I started looking that up, how to make better videos, how I could do this, that, third, whatever, just how could I make this look better. And I had even saved up enough money to get an Elgato capture card so that I could start recording gameplay and doing Let's Plays, which is another thing that I'd wanted to do. So as I would look up these answers, the answers to these questions that I would run into a lot of just threads of just people just talking about what they didn't like. And I started reading that because I thought it would be a good idea to see what people didn't like and maybe avoid that if I could. But I only found that people just, in general, just didn't like the type of content that I made, just the genre in general. People didn't like vlogs because of the jump cuts. People didn't like Let's Plays because of the YouTubers screaming all the time, which wasn't something that I did. But also, they didn't like ones that were longer than 10 minutes. They didn't like Let's Plays that weren't funny, because that's the purpose of Let's Plays. It's a comedy-based genre. And they didn't like Let's Plays that weren't edited, that were just gameplays straight through, which was all things that I wanted to see, which was all things that I liked. And that was something that was difficult to wrap my head around, because then I would have to make the type of content that I didn't really even like seeing. So it was at that point that my view of YouTube and what I could do with my channel started to change. I had decided at that point that I can't be successful on YouTube and do what I wanted to do at the same time, because everything that I want to do is everything that apparently people just absolutely don't like. And it wasn't like this was like 1 or 2 threads that I saw of a few people here and there. This is something that I not only would see in, the threads that I would see online, but also in the comments section of YouTube channels. And it would just get worse and worse and worse as years progressed, which would just further cement my determination to stay who I am and make this kind of content that I want to see and do what I like, because they don't give a fuck. And at that point, it just created a constant tug of war inside me between wanting to have an audience and wanting to do whatever I want. Every single time, me wanting to do what I want would just beat the shit out of wanting to have an audience, because I would much rather just be happy than to be miserable and bowing down. Doing what I saw was bowing down to a bunch of people who I didn't even know, just to get an audience that I probably wouldn't like. And that's how I saw things from then on. At that point, I didn't want to. I would try every once in a while to try to promote my videos, but for the most part, I didn't want to, because I didn't want to hear the same things that I had already read a million times before. If you want to have a successful channel, put yourself in the thumbnails. You can't have thumbnails like this. You can't have, intro to your videos, which is the type of stuff that I like to do. You can't have videos longer than this amount of time. People aren't going to watch it. I didn't want that. So I didn't understand why I would actively chase that. And my issue wasn't fear of criticism or being worried that I might get mean comments. It's a completely different thing if people come to my channel, they stumble across it, and then they try to help me out. They genuinely try to give me criticism to help me get better, or they just say that they just shit on my content because they don't like it. It's completely different if they do that while stumbling across my content. Because at that point, they came to my channel. You chose that, not me. But if I'm actively going around and telling people, yo, check this out, look at it, and then they try to actually help me out and I reject that, to me, that just doesn't make sense. That's counterproductive. What's the point of me going out and telling them to check it out? They're telling me what they would mostly like, and I'm saying, nah, fuck that. Like, I asked you to check it out. So every once in a while, in the back of my head, I would think, man, it would be really good if I could have a presence online and I could say this or that and maybe just give a new opinion to the situation. But for the most part, I didn't really care, because I was happy just to upload content. I was happy to be able to make my thumbnails, record my videos, put it all together, upload it, and see that on my channel, there was a new video. I loved the look of that. I loved the look of just having videos and videos and videos of content that I made. It didn't matter for the most part that people didn't watch it. I mean, there were obviously times where it did bug me that I had like some of my videos had no views, especially since around this time I started getting people who would ask for more content, who would ask for gameplay. But for the most part, I just didn't care because I enjoyed it. And that's what really mattered, is that I was happy and I enjoyed it. And that's all I needed. So for 8 years on this platform, that's kind of how I looked at everything. But then from the end of 2019 going into 2020, I started having a bunch of changes happen in my life. The first was that I moved from my old facility to the new one in my job, and that was a rough transition in and of itself. But while also trying to get used to that new facility with this entirely different culture and everything, I was also in the process of moving into a new apartment, which would be also the first time that I ever lived on my own. No family, no roommates, no nothing, just me. So during this time, since I was making such big steps, getting caught up on my bills and everything, I would also think about what the next step with my channel would be. And this is something that I typically did around the New Year's or around my birthday, whenever I got the chance. I would always think about what's the next step going to be. But for some reason, as I was moving into my new apartment, or as I was getting used to being in my new apartment, realizing that I have no restrictions here, I can be as loud as I want, I can record where I want and not have to worry about anybody at all, I started to realize something. My channel became a Let's Play channel. And from the very beginning, it was never supposed to be that. My channel was always supposed to be a variety channel. From the very beginning, I always wanted to like leave my channel open to be able for me to do whatever I want, whether it's skits, Let's Plays, vlogs, or really anything. Even the poems and music and video game content that I want to, the making creation of a video game that I wanted to do all long ago, it was all something that was supposed to be welcome on my channel. And in the end, my channel ended up being nothing but a Let's Play channel. And that kind of boggled my mind. Like, I had to sit down and ask myself, how did I get to this point? And the answer was pretty obvious for me. I wanted to make a bunch of Let's Play videos so that I could have videos in between my vlog videos. But I became so obsessed with that's all I would do, was just make videos so that I could have something to put in between other videos that I wasn't making. But then something else happened recently, like a month ago, that really just kind of shook me. And it's something that I don't really want to get too into, especially since it's not really that big of a deal anymore. It doesn't really matter. But at the time, it was kind of big for like the whole 22 hours that I was dealing with it. Something happened that I felt like I could have had an impact on, or could have changed, or had some kind of influence on in some kind of way if I had a voice or a presence online, or at the very least something that I could have prevented from bothering me as much as it did. And like I said, it was something that ended up not being that big of a deal. In the end, the feeling was something that still stuck behind. If I had a presence, if I had a voice, I probably could have done something about that. I was speaking about this to my boys Daniel and Chosen, and I was basically telling them that it felt like I was the villain in a movie. And the entire time, I'm just doing whatever it takes to maintain this thing that I wanted, to get to this goal that I was trying to achieve, that I believed was good for me and, for everybody else. Kind of like Thanos, but not exactly like Thanos at all. But at the end of it, I was shown the error of my ways, and then I look back at all the sacrifices that I made and realize that it was all for nothing. And I'm just sitting there like, what was it all for? Like, what have I done? Have I? I told him, I was like, I was sitting there like, have I been wrong this entire time? What have I been doing this entire time? If it was all just for this. It was the first time in the 8 years that I've been making content on this channel that I looked at my channel and was like, this isn't enough. I'm not doing I'm not even doing what I want anymore. I'm doing like a fraction of what I want. But I'm not doing all the other things that I really wanted to do. I'm not sitting down and focusing on all the different areas that I want to do, all the different kinds of content that I've always wanted to make. Every once in a while, I would write a script for other things, but like they would never come through. And in the end, they would just sit around on my desktop. And that's pretty much where I've been. That's pretty much where I've gotten to. And at this point, honestly, I just don't really know where to go from here. I know for a fact that I want to focus more on other kinds of content that I've always wanted to make. But right now, I do still have other plans as far as like the Let's Plays go and stuff. Like I still have Nuzlocke going on, the Nuzlocke thing, and that's something that I've never been able to finish. I've started 2 Nuzlockes on my channel, and I have not been able to finish a single one. And this one, I'm determined to finish on my channel. So that's something that's probably going to stick around. Plus, I really had ideas for bringing the Ninjala game to my channel, because that's something that I really think probably would, number one, would actually help me grow, but number two, it's something that I really just want to put on my channel. Because even through all the different gameplays, I still always wanted to have like that one game that was like a kind of a staple on my channel, something that would always be around. And Pokemon was supposed to be that, but it just ended up not really. And on top of that, there were other games that I'm still in the middle of like making right now that I've never put out, and I still want to, because otherwise that would just be like over 200 videos that are just I've done nothing with. But I have come to the conclusion that I absolutely want to cut back hard on making Let's Play videos. And I want to focus on other content that I've always wanted to make. I think that would really help if I just, don't do Let's Play videos, at least for a while. Not permanently, because I still like making Let's Play videos. And I have a whole lot of other issues with my channel that I actually want to talk about on my channel. Because that's one of the things that I wanted to do on my channel, was just bitch and moan. This is something that this is supposed to be my place to bitch and moan. I feel like this is a conclusion that I've come to multiple times on my channel, but this is the first time that it's ever felt so strong. And I think it is because of that recent situation where I kind of realized that the way I saw things was wrong. I don't necessarily have to give up doing the things that I want to do to be successful, or at least I don't think so. And right now, I'm really interested in seeing if that's true or not. So that's where I am right now. I want to focus on other content. I want to make other things other than Let's Plays, and I want to turn this channel into the channel I've always wanted it to be, not just one aspect of one idea that I wanted to do. If you could replace my Let's Play videos with a different kind of content, what kind of content would it be?